Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're up against someone who seems to be always one step ahead? Whether it's in business, sports, or even a casual game, that feeling of being outpaced can mess with your head. But what if I told you there's a way to flip the script and outsmart your rivals using a timeless principle from the 48 laws of power? This law isn't just some high and mighty strategy that only works in the boardroom of Fortune 500 companies. Nah, it's something you can use in everyday life. Let's dive into Law 3, which is all about concealing your intentions. And trust me, it's more powerful than you might think. The power of the quiet move. Ever played chess? If you have, you know that the best players aren't just thinking about the next few moves, they're thinking about the whole game. Now, in business or sports, it's the same thing. You can't afford to show your cards too early. Conceal your intentions like a poker player with an ace up their sleeve. I learned this the hard way when I was starting my business. Early on, I was so eager to share my next big move with everyone. I wanted to look like I had it all figured out. But guess what? My competitors sniffed out my plans. They saw the game I was playing and adapted before I even had a chance to execute. That's when I realized silence is the best strategy. You don't need to scream about your goals to the world, just let your actions speak when the time is right. And trust me, that time will come sooner than you think. The silent competitor is the deadliest. In sports, the underdog story is the stuff of legends, right? But the truth is, most underdogs win because they've mastered the art of concealment. They're not out there boasting about their game plan. They're working quietly, focusing on improving their skills while their rivals are out there talking a big game. And when the whistle blows, they're ready to hit you with something you didn't even see coming. I've seen this firsthand in the world of gaming too. Ever had a teammate who seemed to just get the game but kept their strategy to themselves? They didn't flaunt their skills, but when the match was on the line, they turned up and dominated. They knew the power of making their move at the right time, and they weren't afraid to keep it under wraps. Here's the thing. When you hide your full potential, people will underestimate you, and that's when you strike. Don't be the loudest in the room, be the smartest. Now, we all know that person who always wants to be the center of attention, right? Whether it's the loud guy in the meeting or the one who's constantly bragging on social media. Honestly, you don't need to be that person. If you want to play the game at the highest level, you need to learn how to stay in the shadows while your competitors expose themselves. If you're always putting your cards on the table, you're giving your rivals a chance to take your hand. I remember this one meeting where I was pitching an idea that I thought was revolutionary, but I didn't let the excitement take over. I kept my cards close and let others yap about their own ideas. As they overextended, I slid in with my pitch. It was quiet, but powerful. The room didn't see it coming, and that's how I sealed the deal. The power of timing, knowing when to reveal your hand. This isn't just about being quiet for the sake of it. It's about knowing when to strike. Concealing your intentions is just part of the equation. The magic happens when you decide to reveal just the right amount at just the right time. Have you ever held back on making a move because the time didn't feel right? There's an art to it. Look at companies that drop new products. They build suspense for months, maybe even years. Then, bam! They launch with all the force in the world. Same principle applies to you. Know when to drop the bombshell. If you're like me, you've probably learned the hard way that timing is everything. There were times I launched products or strategies just because I was too impatient. But when I learned to wait, hold back, and strike when my competition was looking the other way, that's when I started to win. The biggest mistake you can make, over-explaining. There's a dangerous trap that a lot of people fall into, over-explaining. You don't need to justify everything you do. This is especially true when you're playing the long game. When you start spilling all the details, you give your rivals the chance to figure out your strategy. And here's the harsh truth. They will use it against you. I've done this before, trying to explain myself to people who didn't need an explanation. But guess what? I lost the upper hand. My strategy wasn't a secret anymore, and I had no edge. So stop over-explaining yourself, keep the details to a minimum, and let the results speak. Wrapping up, play the game, don't let it play you. Here's the real talk. Life is a game, whether it's business, sports, or personal battles. If you don't know how to play your cards right, you'll get played. Law 3, conceal your intentions, is your weapon for staying ahead of the pack. The key to mastering this law isn't just about being sneaky. It's about being strategic. It's about knowing when to be loud and when to keep things low-key. It's about playing the long game, waiting for the right moment to make your move. And most importantly, it's about keeping your rivals guessing until you drop the hammer. So next time you find yourself facing off against someone you think has the upper hand, remember this. Don't show them your full hand. Keep your intentions concealed, and when the time is right, show them who's boss. But here's a thought to leave you hanging. What happens when you conceal everything and your rivals start to catch on? Is there such a thing as too much concealment? Stay tuned.